Hello everybody, it is Callus for the final match in the round of 8 for the Pokemon Perfect 2022 ADV Championship, and this is certainly, in my mind, one of the highlight matches, not only of the round, but really of the tournament so far. Two big guys here, up-and-comers, who are really starting to prove themselves and catch on. Pkleech, JimothyCool, if you watch my channel, you've seen both of them pretty recently. They were both in the play-ins for Callus Invitational 6. They both won multiple rounds in the play-ins of Callus Invitational 6. Jim lost his in the finals to Pak, but was damn close to the main event. And Pkleech won his group and not only made the main event, but made a nice run in the main event, racking up 3 wins, tying the record for the most match wins that a play-ins player has ever gotten in the main event. So these guys are both the real deal. You're going to see a lot more of them, I would think, in the coming years as they're really starting to prove themselves and show that they're legit names and the future of ADV. And this is a tough pairing. And the best part is I haven't watched these games at all. I have absolutely no clue what happens, how it happens. It's going to be completely authentic, first-time reaction from me. And hopefully it is for you guys too. Hopefully you didn't spoil it for yourselves and check out the replays before seeing it here on YouTube. Now the brackets, real quick. The other side of the bracket is already determined. Gonna spoil it for you, so go back and watch the other videos if you haven't done so yet. Spoilers coming right now. It is Fredazi against Jumpy23 on the other side of the bracket. And then if you guys watched Blues and Hclat in the most recent video, then even though it was Haxie and an upset, it was Blues Energy taking out Callus Invitational 6 champion Hclat in the previous video. And that means that the winner here, Leech or Jim, is going to face Blues in the next round on the other side of the bracket. So with all that mumbo-jumbo out of the way, who is going to be our final player in the top 4 for this championship tournament? Let's find out together. Here's game 1 in a best of 3. Leech is on the bottom, Jim is on the top, T-Tar and Skarm lead respectively, both gonna stay, and Jim obviously with the better end of that turn, spikes in a whiffed Fire Blast. Leech wisely does not go for it again since it's such an obvious switch or protect from Jim, and Fori turns out to be pretty good. Just gonna have to eat a 30% Surf in exchange for the spike. Fair deal for sure. But Banette was not a poke that I was expecting from Jimbo. Gonna block the Rapid Spin here, but what's he gonna go with? Is it Will-O-Wisp? Is it Knockoff, which it learns? None of the above, but man, imagine had he gone Knock there. Milo would have lost its lefties. Missed opportunity, I guess, for Jim, but can't imagine that Leech knows overly how to play against Banette. How much experience does he have in that regard? Got to be a toxic exchange here. One of them we know can remove it, and one of them can probably remove it. Natural Cure is a sure thing, but does Milotic refresh? I would say yes. And yeah, there it is. There's refresh. No more toxic. So we're looking at stall on stall here. Bold move for JimothyCool. I mean, Leech is almost always going to bring stall. That's just his thing lately. He brought teams that looked basically identical to this, remarkably similar to this throughout basically the entirety of Callus Invitational 6, and it worked. So, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jim is a little bit more versatile and sometimes a little bit out there, as you can see by Banette, which is a Pokemon that is not considered viable in OU play, a Pokemon that was seen 0 times in CI6, but Jim can be a bit of a wild builder, and this is certainly an example of that. Gonna go for S-Toss from Bliss now. They have very different Blissies. We've got a more standard Bliss on the top for Jim, whereas Leech showed he's got a Calm Mind Blissey on his end. Obviously, somewhere in there, Leech is going to have a Rock Resist. May or may not be Swampert. It could be that, like, undisputed Eden double water squad, but it also could just be a Meta, a Claydol, whatever. There's that Pogis variant of this team that has, I believe, Meta Gengar as the last 2 pokes. Leech could be running that. TBD. But the full team is known now for Jim, and he's going to eat a stab HP bug here in exchange for getting Rapid Spin off. Banette reappears. I'd like to see a knockoff here. No, it's going to be Will-O-Wisp. I'm not sure why he's not clicking knock. Maybe he just truly doesn't have it, but that makes no sense to me. Why would you run crappy Banette if you're not using its best move, which is knockoff. And he goes for it now and gets T-Tower, but like now if it's Pursuit Tower, which it probably is with Fori, aren't you just boned? Yeah, I don't think he got max value out of that Bennett. He had two different opportunities to knock off the Milotic, and he just didn't do it, which is crazy to me. Milotic is like the thing, maybe the Bliss, but like I think Milotic is the thing on that team that you want to get rid of its lefties. So we'll see where the game goes from here. Refresh is obviously going to make it so all this residual damage, the toxics and whatever, here's this burn from Fire Punch. None of that's going to matter. Man, Jim's going to really kick himself, I think, for not getting the knockoff on the Milo. He had two different chances to do it. And by the way, I don't know why Leech gave him those two different chances to do it, but Jim did not capitalize. I think Leech, I mean, he could have, in hindsight, just gone straight to the Pursuit Tower and just killed the Bennett and not even risked it, but I think he was worried because Bennett actually has a really high base attack stat, so it makes sense that Bennett may have HP fighting, and if T-Tower were to switch into that, it would be devastatingly bad, so I think that Leech was playing it safe and kind of scouting for that, but the way that it played out, it was kind of weird. The HP fighting never came, the knockoff never came, it was just some like weird will-o-wisps, which didn't even seem super worth it, because you're wisping into a natural Cure Mon and a Refresh Mon. I don't like the way Jim played the Bennett. I think you just click knockoff, but we're past that stage of the game, and we have got ourselves a 6-5 with Leech in the lead, though it could get dangerous here if he lets Rachi set up, which it is CM'd twice. And if he wants it, he's got a third CM here since it's a soft-boiled turn. But Jim's going to play aggressively with Psychic, and they're going to get into a Calm Mind pissing contest. Fair enough. One's burnt, one's not. Rachi, yeah, we know the full set. CM, Psychic, Fire Punch, Wish. So Specs Drops also could come into play here, potentially. Blissey has not shown attacking moves, but almost always it's Ice Beam, T-Bolt. The old CM Flamethrower HP Grass set exists, technically, but it's generally worse in the vast majority of situations, and it's way, way, way less common. Blissey, normally CM Bliss has a decent shot against CM Rachi, but there's a couple other factors here. Rachi's not taking sand damage, Blissey is, and there's the burn, and like I said, there's the potential for Specs Drops. There's also the fact that Rachi resists Ice Beam. Obviously, you could freeze it, but it doesn't really care about Beam. So Thunderbolt is what you're relying on. Yeah, a lot of the time, Rachi ends up winning that matchup, as you see. And that's going to be another missed Fire Blast for Leech. So even though I think Jim kind of butchered it with the Bennett, and I think he butchered it even more by going to Tower if he knew that he had a Loom in the back that was faster. So I don't know what Leech was doing in that case. This has been a little sloppy, a little rough around the edges for both guys. And Leech is now saying that he was Flame Grass, which who knows if he was telling the truth or not. I doubt that he's lying. But that makes it even more annoying from him because he probably had a good matchup against the Rachi. But this is starting to really unravel. The Salamence goes down. I mean, there's an SD, but Rachi could just wake up and just Psychic you or Fire Punch you into oblivion here. He's going to pull it back. So Loom here has a shot. There's a big Sky Uppercut, 56% to Pert after the SD. And there's Mach Punch. All right, we've got a shot. I'm not sure how we get through Skarm here. I mean, you Spore it, but like, Jim obviously is not going to let that happen. Right now, the Jirachi is still asleep, and you can't Spore the Skarm because of Sleep Claws, so that's not an option in this moment. And that's going to force the Loom out. So it leaves us in a 4-3 situation. Sleeping Rachi comes back in. Leech basically has to win with the Breloom. Fori and Milo, not win conditions. I mean, it might be if Rachi never wakes up, I guess, but should be able to just click Wish and be totally fine here. Calm Mind is going to keep him safe from anything but a crit. Milo's going to need a crit right now. 1-turn window to kill the Rachi. And does not get it. And now the Rachi should be good to go. Leech would have to sneak in the Breloom basically at the perfect time in order to get out of this. Alternatively, I mean, the crit is going to speed things along, so the Milo would just die to the follow-up Psychic. No choice now for Leech but to go to the Loom and just click Spore. And yeah, just going to have to get there with the Loom. Just going to have to Swords Dance up a bunch. Hope that Jim's dude never ever wakes up, and Breloom on its own with a bunch of SDs is enough to get there. It's the only way. So there's SD. You've got to just click Sky Uppercut and land a crit. You don't get it, you get drill pecked. It is what it is. He knows the play, he makes the play, but the crit does not come, and Jim is going to drill peck and finish this game. JimothyCool with the Banette of all things. Like I said, a poke we did not see at all in Callus Invitational this year. JimothyCool busts out the Banette and gets the victory over Leech in this game 1. So it's going to be Leech who's going to have to win 2 in a row against the Aussie JimothyCool in order to set up the all-Italian showdown in the semifinals. It's Blues Energy, a fellow Italian, and one of Leech's closest buddies waiting for him if he can get there. But Jim takes this one and has 2 opportunities to get his spot in the semifinals. Here's the second game. Keep those players in the same position. Leech on the bottom and Jim on the top. Meta and Tar are standard leads, and Meteor Mash is almost always the play in the turn 1 of that matchup. Gonna follow it up with a meh HP Fire. A third is okay, but it's not exciting either. After lefties and protect, Skarm's going to be fine. He did get that 1 layer down. If he's really greedy, he can go for another, but usually you roar here. And Jim does, in fact, go for roar. That's going to prompt out a Celebi for Leech, which may also have HP Fire. And Jim is going to go to Aerodactyl to put immediate pressure on the Celebi, regardless of what set it is. And he did have HP Fire, so good to know for the future. And Jim with a good double back as well. That was a well-played sequence. He's going to get multiple turns of lefties now on his Skarm because he played it this way. And Leech is going to opt for Psychic. Switches it up, of course, to HP Fire, only to get roared out. And we're going to find a Heracross from Leech. Very interesting. Not a mon that I would normally associate with Leech. Could be a good bring, and he's going to capitalize on what I think is a bad protect by going for sub there. I think if you're going to stay there for Jim, you don't even allow that opportunity to happen. You just click roar. So I definitely think that was a mistake, and he could get punished for it. Leech now taking advantage of that substitute and dealing big damage. 66% to the Zapdos, and now a Focus Punch coming on Pert. Sub gets popped, but this is not going to feel good. 74% from that stab Focus Punch with a massive attack stat behind it. Unfortunately, one of the problems with this set of Heracross and with Heracross in general is you don't have any 100% accurate moves that are reliable. Mega Horn and Rock Slide both miss sometimes. This is one of those times. Heracross fails to kill the Pert, and it leaves us in a 5-5 after the Celebi gets the revenge kill on Swampert. So now Aerodactyl, that's a neutral hidden power, so it's got to be Bug rather than Flying. Psychic is going to come up short on Skarm, but there's nothing stopping the follow-up attack from killing. He goes for Mash, willing to risk the miss in exchange for possibly getting the attack raise. Neither the raise nor the miss happens, and now Lax is going to come in. Thunderbolt, 30%. We've seen nothing, but it looks like a very offensive team. I highly doubt it's a Rest Lax, probably some kind of Boom variant here. And he gets the immediate Body Slam power, 30% of that happening. And no Lum, it's just a lefties tar. He's going to follow up with Brick Break as well, so the Lax doing work here. It has crippled and severely weakened the tar down to just 24%. There's Zapdos. Leech is not able to pull the trigger and Body Slam, which would have been better there. Instead, Brick Break is resisted, and Zapdos is going to get a Thunderbolt off. It won't be enough to kill, nor does he find the para, so the Body Slam is a kill, and the Lax gets Leech further in the lead. Now, there is another revenge kill for Celebi, but still, Leech just flat out up him on in a 4-3 situation, and he's got a hidden poke in the back. He shows Ments for the first time. Unsurprising on a very aggressive team like this that it's DD. Jim trying to get back. He gets himself a critical hit, but DD is going to be tough to overcome here. Celebi must survive and does. Had it not survived there, it would have been over right then and there, but Leech probably still going to win Jim down to only 2 Pokemon. He's going to have to rely on Arrow. HP Bug is going to knock Celebi into next week. But here is Suicune, and that seems like a problem. T-Tar, Substitute. Now it's a super duper problem because Surf would easily kill T-Tar here, and then how does Aerodactyl beat it from behind the sub? The answer, of course, is that it doesn't, and Jim is going to go to the concession stand, sending us to a third game to decide who makes the semifinals against Blues Energy. Will it be Pkleech or will it be JimothyCool? One game will decide that. And of course, that's this game. So let's get into it. Game 3. Go ahead and switch those sides for continuity. Leech on the bottom for the third time. Jim on the top. It's the 2 most common leads in the tier. T-Tar and Zapdos. And it is advantage Jim as he gets a T-Bolt off in exchange for a Fire Blast. T-Bolt, Rock Slide respectively. But Rock Slide comes up short. And T-Bolt now is threatening lethal. Does not switch it up and go for HP Grass there. Missed opportunity would have rocked the Swampert socks off had he gone for it there. Perhaps he doesn't have it, but he's now going to opt for Rest. And the fact that he was willing to take that trade, I say this every time, when Zapdos stays in on T-Tar in the opening turns and just clicks Thunderbolt, it is almost a sure thing that he's got a Dugtrio somewhere in the back. Because it would be a trade rather than just insta-losing the Zapdos for nothing, which would be terrible. So Jim has opted for Stally teams 3 times out of 3 against Leech, which is an interesting choice. I don't know if Jim is just on a stall kick recently and isn't making these choices specifically for Leech, or if he has some kind of read on Leech and believes that this is the way to beat him. Very interesting dynamic. And Leech has been very fond of Special Tar in this set. Fire Blast yet again, really underwhelming against Coon, but he's going to be faster and do something on the way out. 28% HP Grass is not exciting, but something. Here comes Zapdos to threaten it out. Doll, just in case he gets cute, but nope, it is just the standard T-Bolt. And Jim in reasonable shape in the early stages of this game. T-Tar down, everything on Jim's team relatively healthy. Jim's looking pretty good in the early stages of this, but like I said, it is still quite early. A lot can still happen. Plenty more game to play. Couple mashes connecting, no misses, but no raises either. And layer 1 of spikes comes down. Leech has yet to reveal a way to remove those spikes. No Mag, no Starmie, no Claydol, whatever it may be. And he does get roared out after getting an attack raise. It looks like another aggressive team for Leech, so really a switcheroo here. Jim, who's usually a pretty aggressive player, has opted for stall 3 times. And Leech, who, at least during Kalos Invitational, was very, very stally, has opted for 2 aggressive teams after Game 1 bringing stall and having it not go his way. So the full team revealed for Leech. It's last poke Rachi. And that's going to be immediate HP Grass. So I don't know if that's a Super Rachi or if it's Wish 3 attacks, but we're not going to find out. He's not going to stay in, eat a potential Earthquake. Zapdos tried to come into Earthquake, but instead, Jim doubled back. T-Wave and Seismic Toss, sure. Bulky Zapdos, as you can see by how much that S-Toss did. So it's bulky BP from Leech, all right? And he's going to go to Metagross here. Big threat to the Bliss. Skarm is pretty low as well, so you've got a chance here. Gets him with Mash, but doesn't get the raise. Dugtrio in the back was very obvious, as we discussed, based on the way the opening was played. So you had to know that that revenge kill trade was coming. And as we see now with the full team revealed from Leech, that Spike is going to be there for the rest of the game. No spinner, so he's going to have to deal with the 1 layer, though Jim is not able, of course, to make any other layers since he lost the Skarm. And that's a really good turn for Leech. Ooh, Jim could be regretting that one. He goes for the rest only to get DD'd on. Hold your horses here. Man, he might regret not clicking Roar. This could get ugly. He's like 1 crit or flinch or whatever away from this getting really, really out of hand. He's got to click Roar now, and that's if he survives the turn. Here's Rock Slide for the flinch, which he does not get, and it's actually Ice Beam Coon. But Salamence survives it very comfortably. It does only 78%, so that's a very bulky DD Mence. Is that it? Does Leech just clean up with Mence here? Kind of looking that way. Here's Bliss. That gonna survive? Yes. Okay, so I have the same question as in the previous game. Leech threw away his tire for no reason when he needed a faster loom, and this is basically the same thing. Jim seemingly is just going to toss his Claydol when he could have just gone to Blissey, so he gave up his Claydol for no reason. I don't understand. I don't know if it's calc's gone wrong or if they're just flat-out misplays, but there have been a couple different instances in this match, one for Leech, one for Jim, where one of the guys just decided, I don't need this poke, let's just toss it. Frustrating, certainly, but it's hard to play perfectly against a really good player in a championship tournament. I get it. We'll see which one of these guys ends up clutching it out. We've got a tight one here, 3-3. The Duck Trio is mildly relevant. It's pretty bad against Zapdos. Rock Slide, if it has that, matters more than 0. It's also pretty bad against Swampert, but it's very good against Jirachi, so there's always that. The Zapdos here, so we know the full set. He doesn't have HP Grass. He's Rest Toxic, Thunderbolt Roar. And here's Dougie sneaking in on Rachi and gets him. So Rachi picked off. Good play for Jim, getting the Duck Trio win at the perfect time. And then, let's see, Swampert is Subsurf. That looks like Endeavorpert. Doesn't have lefties. We've got ourselves a close one. 2-2. Zapdos on Zapdos. One of them's poisoned. And one of them gets a crit. I think that's a match-winning crit, unfortunately. Hidden Power. Well, he's going to survive, but in order to win, Jim's going to need an immediate Hidden Power crit on Swampert. That's the only way out. And he doesn't get there. He does a lot, but he doesn't do enough. The crit would have gotten there. It was a 29% Hidden Power, leaving the Swampert at 22. So obviously Hidden Power gets him. Jim is saying in hindsight that Earthquake was the crit there in order to let the Zapdos just die to poison. I don't know if that's actually correct. I think he did it right. I think Hidden Power is fine. You just have to get there with the critical hit. He has a one-turn window to do it and doesn't get it. But this is a funky set. Leech certainly, with some luck at the end when he needed it. The critical hit and the Zap on Zap pretty much decided it because this Zapdos did not have rest. This one did. So the way that this would have played out is that Jim would have gotten a rest off, slowly but surely stalled it out, eventually gotten a Toxic on it. Basically, the Zapdos can stall out both Mons and win the game. It's not a 100% lock, but the vast majority of the time from that position, 2-2, with the way the game played out, Jim would have won this game. So take nothing away from Leech. Obviously a good player with the run that he had in Kalos Invitational 6, but got to call it as I see it, and I don't think Leech would have any objection to this since he's saying the same thing in the comments of the game. That was a bit of a robbery. Jim probably should have won this set, and Leech is going to get away with one here. But that's the game we play, and the result is what it is, and that is going to set up a Italian showdown in the semifinals. It'll be Pkleech against Blues Energy, which I doubt either of them are thrilled about. I believe they're pretty close friends, but that is the matchup we have wound up with. It is seeded, and it was predestined to be. So that's it for the round of 8. Obviously, I'm going to bring you guys the round of 4 semifinals and the finals as well when those end up happening. And like I said in the previous video, I do have a pretty big announcement coming very soon that is completely unrelated to this tournament, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. Your support means a lot to me. I don't make any money off this channel. I've never tried to make money off this channel. I do this for fun. I do this to entertain you guys. So really the only thing I care about is that you enjoy the videos. I hope you did. Please leave a thumbs up if you did. And I will see you guys in the next video.